Will be good to go. This is Apex One Radio. You're listening to African Fiesta. We're doing the 189th edition of the show. So if you are ready, then we are ready. So African Fiesta number 189, let's go. Good morning once again, and welcome to Apex One Radio. Welcome to African Fiesta. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself across the globe. African Fiesta is a radio way of presenting Africa in the continent's economic and social life. So, how much of Africa do you know in terms of history, geography, economics, sports, cuisine, culture, tourism, and you name it? And how much of African music do you get to listen to or dance to? These are the kind of questions we do well to answer on African Fiesta, just on Apex One Radio. African Fiesta brings African values on the platform and presents these values to the rest of the world. And in this 189th edition of African Fiesta, after London in the United Kingdom, Sydney in Australia, Washington, D.C. in the United States, and Kingston in Jamaica, Shuri Atu takes her In Print series to Douala in Cameroon. It was time the internationally acclaimed fine artist and painter give back to her people. The December exhibition in Cameroon is said to have been a huge success as the artist showcased some of her most amazing works to visitors who were quite amazed. Now, how does she feel after this latest move in her painting career? Now back in the United States, Shuri Atu assesses her fine art and painting trip to Cameroon. Plus, she tells us what she has off her sleeves. The artist will be speaking live on radio today. And that will happen in this edition of African Fiesta just on Apex One Radio. Now, DOS is yet to settle on the euphoria that has characterized Sierra Leone's maiden match at the ongoing African Cup of Nations, which ended on a 0-0 tie with current champions Algeria. To many Sierra Leoneans, this was an exceptional spectacle, especially given that the West African side has been away from the competition for more than 2 decades. On African Fiesta today, we revisit the first day of performance or the one performance of the Leone Stars. To help us do that, we will be joined by Sierra Leonean sports journalist and media executive Leslie Koroma. Koroma is the founder and CEO of Africa Sports Ventures Group. He'll be live from Texas in this edition of African Fiesta. Her name is Belta Tehila. Oh, Tehila Belta, if you want to put it that way. Belta is back with a soul-searching and smashing piece of music. Your Love is just a couple of days old in circulation, yet it is making great inroads. The gospel music artist tells us about this new project in this edition of African Fiesta. She's live from Cincinnati in Ohio. And in a similar development, the gospel music sector will be a track reacher from tomorrow, the 16th of January, when Beru, a new track by Junior Praise, gets into circulation. From Boya, the artist tells us about this new project, plus what he has up his sleeves in the coming weeks and the coming months. This in this edition of African Fiesta, just on Apex One Radio. So these and more are some of the stories we will be presenting to you today in this edition of African Fiesta. Thank you once again for joining us. Welcome on board. Welcome to this 189th edition of the show. And we must apologize for the sound issues we had at the start of the show. That's fine. It happens. But then it's going to be a fantastic edition of the show, a show you won't afford to miss because we'll have some very interesting stories being told here on radio this Saturday the 15th of January 2022. It's exactly 20 minutes past 10 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. In Central Africa, it is exactly 4:20. Central Africa, from where we will be having some of the stories told. All right, so usually we begin the show by giving thanks to God, who is always there to make sure that we come here energetically to present this very gigantic and complex radio production. We're going to do that today in the company of Ivorian gospel music artist Dorcas Kaja in this soul-searching piece of music that has stood the test of time, I must say. Il Le Bon de Louis Dieu has been around for so many years, yet it's still making a lot of sense on our music taste board. So let's listen to that piece of music, then we'll be right back to continue this show. Father, thank you for this fresh edition of African Fiesta, which is reaching out there to our people. We thank you for the energy, the wisdom, the ingenuity, and everything that it takes to bring this great production on the airwaves. Thank you for the energy. We thank you for the participants. We thank you for those who are just watching the show. We pray that you inspire us to run this edition of African Fiesta in a very, very exceptional manner. Show us how to do it, and we will follow your direction through your Son, Jesus Christ. We've prayed. Amen. What a beautiful piece of music there by Dorcas Kaja, Ivorian frontline gospel music artist, music which has stood the test of time. This music has been around for more than 12 years, but it's still making a lot of sense. A beautiful piece there, which has brought the time to 23 minutes past 10 here in the studio of Apex One Radio in Texas. It is 9:23 in Chicago. It's 9:23, I guess. In Cincinnati, Ohio, is 10:23. Here in the studio of Apex One Radio in Columbus, at the northern belt of the city is 10:23 a.m. This Saturday, the 15th of January 2022. A bright Saturday, cold yet very, very nice, of course. My name is Ernest Kanjo Maxwell. Ajit is taking care of the techniques. He's controlling us digitally from Walsut in Germany. The entire Apex One Radio team is here to make sure that everything is moving on smoothly. Thank you so much to our fans who are spread across the beautiful African continent, especially the ones who are in Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is taking part in this year's edition of the African Cup of Nations holding in Cameroon. And in its first game, the Leone Stars had a 0-0 parity with defending champions Algeria. Leslie Koroma will be joining us for details and, of course, to assess the performance of the team in this edition of the show. But we are going to begin from the artist's corner. We're talking about Shiri Achu, internationally acclaimed fine artist and painter who has been in Cameroon to exhibit her art. It happened in December. She's back in the United States of America. We're going to find out just how it happened out there and how the people who visited her exhibition, responded to what she presented to that public. Well, let's see what to do. Maybe we have just a bite of music for a few seconds. Then, when we come back, we will kick off with our guests in this edition of the show. So, who is first to go? Let's see if Asaba is first to go. I guess not. Well, we'll probably begin with this piece of music by Naomi Achu. I guess so. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Busybody by Naomi Achu. I'll be right back with you. Do not go away. This is African Fiesta on Apex One Radio. Beautiful piece of music there titled Busy Body by Naomi Achu. Music which has brought the time to 26 minutes past 10 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. Without much ado, I guess we will start bringing our guests on the platform so we can start telling those beautiful African stories you would love to listen to, and people you would love to meet because they are all inspiring. They are all contributing their own little quarters to the development of the continent. And like I mentioned earlier on, she's been in Cameroon these past couple of weeks to present her works to that country. Internationally acclaimed fine artist and painter Shuri actually is back in the United States of America. And so, how did it go back in Cameroon? She now joins us for that story. Shuri Achu, how are you doing today? Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Thank you for having me once again. Can you see me? Is everything okay?
I can see you on fine. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm
Mm.
very well. Yes.
Right. So, like I mentioned earlier on, you're back in the United States of America. You've been away for work. I know you went out for a professional trip to Cameroon to present your works.
Yes. Yes.
Have you been to Cameroon before since you got into painting to present your work?
Um. So, I had a little exhibition. I had a
Mm.
very little exhibition, maybe 12 years ago, but it only had a few pieces. It wasn't a major exhibition like the way that like this one was. Um, but it was my first proper, this I'm going to Cameroon to
Mhm.
have an exhibition.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
it was the first in the, yeah. It
That
was
is interesting.
yes.
Wow, that's great. So this time around, you called it 40th Act with 42 in print. Um, tell us before
Okay.
we even talk about the trip to Cameroon. What is 40th Act? What is Imprint?
42 in print. So if you don't sort of okay, so when I started painting, just to go back and sort of recap to tell people who don't really know what I, to who don't really follow me to get an understanding. When I started painting, and I grew up in London, I realized that people didn't really know much of the culture, African culture, Cameroon. They only knew the Maasai for some reason. They only knew the Maasai. So I thought, okay, well, maybe my work should represent other African cultures so that, when I travel to different parts of the world, they can get more familiar with the culture. And the light. And so what I did was when I started doing the imprint series of exhibitions, I went from I started with London where my base was at the time, and I did this 35 in print exhibition, and then I did 36 in print in Washington DC where I was at the time. And then I thought, okay, so maybe I can make this an annual thing where I can go to a different city all the times and and sort of showcase the African culture to those people in that particular country. So then I did Australia, then I did Toronto, then I did Jamaica. So those were the sequences. But then my 10th anniversary, so we ended at 39, by the way, at Toronto. Then it was my 10th anniversary. And of course, you have to celebrate your 10th anniversary big, right?
Sure.
So I did, I had wanted to do the same, 40th act in 3 countries. And of course, I chose my places. So London, of course, is where I grew up. So I had to have something in London. Then I had to do something in Washington, D.C., because that is my base at the currently. And then I had to do Cameroon. So I had planned it all for the year of 2020. But of course, COVID happened. And no, it was 2019. And I wasn't able to finish, that particular exhibition. So when COVID happened, and then I wasn't able to, when the opportunity arose that I can go to Cameroon, I was now at 42 in print because I did 41 on print virtually. It was online. It was online. So now I was back at 42 in print, and then remembering that I hadn't done the 40th act in that I had programmed to do in Cameroon, I synced the 2 exhibitions together. There you go.
And you chose Douala. Why?
Yes. I chose Douala because I have people in Douala. I have my uncles, my family, my friends. My representative is in Douala as well. So it made sense to do it in Douala.
Wow,
Yes.
that's interesting. And so, tell us about the works you exhibited. I know you didn't bundle your whole workshop to Douala. So, which are the ones you picked for the Douala trip?
Actually, so I had 42 pieces, of course. I had 42 pieces, but I obviously had to have pieces with the mask because that was the reason why the 40th act came so much later because of the pandemic. So somehow I had to represent pieces that were also that reflected what happened during the time that I was not able to do the 40th act. So I had some pieces with the mask. I had my traditional paintings of the Achu. As I know that Cameroonians, of course, who know that image and who know the painting. I know that they like that painting. So of course I had to have a big one of that. There's some others with everyday life. There are others with I also showed a few of the other sort of Africa concepts like dancing cross symbol, so that they become more familiar. Also, Cameroonians also get to know more about other African countries. So it was a bit of a nice flavor of everything.
In case you're just joining us, this is Apex One Radio listening to African Fiesta. We are speaking with Shiri Achu. She is an internationally acclaimed fine artist and painter who has moved across the world to exhibit her works. She was in Douala recently, and back in the United States of America, she is telling us about that trip. Who came around to see what you brought to exhibit, Shiri?
So there were loads of interest, loads of people who were. It was great because exhibitions and art is not something that is common to a lot of people in Cameroon.
Mhm,
So there were a lot of people who came. Some of them I don't really know, what their names, but Sissy De Poco who came, the
mhm,
musician, Madame Sissy, the Centre Culturel de Français, the guys from there. Of course, Carol was navigating, making sure that we get the right sort of people and people were
mhm,
just coming in. We had special guest people who helped to keep the place stimulated. We
mhm,
had musicians. We had, of course, on the last day of the exhibition, we had Witty who came and performed and sort of animated the space.
mhm,
We had who else did we have who came to see? And then we had also a session with children.
mhm,
But that is not your question right now. Your question is about who came. Yes, so we had my uncle Nico Hale. Actually, he was there on the last day,
mhm,
and he with the family, as a lot of friends, family, and people and guests who were invited for the exhibition.
mhm.
Yeah.
So this is a Cameroonian who uh, lived abroad most of her life, yet she's painting Cameroon in the most explicable manner, so brilliantly. This would certainly have meant a lot to the people who were there to see what you were doing. It would be interesting to know their reactions. What were they telling you?
Oh, a lot of them spoke in French and wrote in French. So
Mm,
I'm yet to understand really what what they are saying. But from the way that they responded to me, it was all very encouraging. It was all
mhm,
like, wow, this is great. But
mhm,
to be very honest, because a lot of they speak a lot of they speak French, and I struggled a little bit with trying to really get a few people to. But the ones who did, they all said really good things. They were all
mhm,
very encouraging. They all were they congratulated me for trying to do what I do by putting Cameroon, Africa on the map.
mhm,
So I mean it was great. It was
mhm.
great.
So we saw somewhere in Cameroon where kids were creating stories from your works, and this was reported on local television. Tell us
Yes.
about this.
So the name of the group, they're a French group who came, and we actually had a workshop with these children, and
Mhm.
they are Ondio l'Africain. That's the name of
Okay.
the group who came, and they had this beautiful workshop where they were just animating this talking and it was just very animated.
Mhm,
And then one of my paintings was behind the one with the climb series one
mhm,
two three, and actually the storyteller made a story
mhm,
based on that painting and sort of related the story to the children who were so excited.
mhm,
And then later on that same day, we went and I had a workshop with the children, and we were painting. I wanted them to do an abstract painting of the Cameroon flag, similar to what the concept of the 40th Act, where I had green, red, yellow. I wanted them to be a little bit fluid with the way that they conceptualized the Cameroon flag. I didn't want it to be so stiff. So I worked through that with them. And yes, that was reported on a TV because it was a wonderful day with children, just, trying to inspire them, to, storytelling and, painting. It was creative day. It was beautiful.
mhm. I also understand that you collaborated a great deal with other artists and galleries, and would want to assume that you got into some future arrangements with these people. Am I
Mhm.
right?
Um, I did well. Things always happen when you collaborate with people, but
Mhm,
nothing concrete has actually happened yet. I mean, I always love to work with. So Wazi was the other, singer who was actually there. He came
mhm,
one of the nights and he performed his beautiful songs. So I always want to work with artists and people whose spirit connect to mine somehow. So I'll always, if I'm ever in Cameroon or if I'm ever able to bring them somewhere that I am, I'll always want to have a collaboration. But for future purposes, I am actually I'm actually going to be working on a so the part one was good. Part one was good. But we thought that we needed more. We needed more time. So we are actually going to be going back to Douala
Okay.
in 6 months, in about 6 months roughly, to do a part two in Douala.
Okay.
And then we're going to do a part three in Yaoundé.
Okay.
So that is future. And, we'll be bringing in people who, yes. Yeah.
So how was Douala different from Toronto, from Kingston, from London, from Washington, D.C.?
It was a lot more harder, I have to confess, to mobilize people. I think it was because it was Christmas and
Okay.
there are weddings, there are funerals, there are all these other functions that sort of somehow take priority. There's so many moving parts, so much activity in Douala at that particular time in December that some people who, I'm going to definitely be there, could not make it because I think it was a period as well. So it was more difficult to mobilize people to actually, again, perhaps because they don't quite understand the culture. The artists, going to an exhibition and, somehow, I'm trying to open that up so that more people can, see this and enjoy this sort of experience. And then what else? Of course, it's very hot, dusty, yeah, but it was awesome. It was awesome. It's different in the sense of, yes, those things, but also particularly the difference was the fact that it was a lot more difficult to, for people to get excited. Yes, they did, but not they did by the concept, but not by the reality because they don't quite understand the culture. So, with more exhibitions, they will be, they'll start becoming more familiar with this.
And what is one thing you would remember of this trip?
What is the one thing that I remember from the trip? Oh, I worked. That's the one thing that I remember from the trip. I did not sleep.
Right.
I was constantly on the move, constantly working, interviews here, CRTV. I had to go to Yaoundé for interviews. I had this interview with, I had to meet people. I also, every day, from 5 to 7, I would sort of go to the exhibition and I would take people for, walks around the exhibition. So it was constant working. I didn't have one day on the beach, and that is unheard of because typically you go to Africa, you'd want to have at least one. It was so busy, but it was so rewarding because of, all the feedback that the ones that I understand, it was all positive. I had some sales, yet to have more sales when I go back for part 2 and part 3. Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome time. And of course, it's lovely, amazing being home, eating a lot of food, soya and the rest.
Beautiful. We're speaking with internationally acclaimed fine artist and painter Shuri Achu, who is back to the States after a professional trip to Cameroon, where she exhibited some of her amazing works to the public. As we speak, what are those works you have on sale and on promotion?
Well, I'll just talk about my 2022 calendar, which is right here. I'm just going to show, I'll just peel it out from the bag. Okay, so this is my 2022 calendar. Can you see this, everybody?
Great. Beautiful.
And so this calendar was inspired a lot by the Togo. And of course, it's very fitting because the AFCON ball is actually called the Togo as well. So this is some of the images. It has a lot of images of the Togo in it. Not only the Togo, but of course, it has a lot of the Togo. What else? And this, I'll not show you that one. You have to get it to see it.
Sure.
So yes, this is me a little bit, So it's a really nice. Well, I love it because I love the Togo, and to do a calendar based, inspired by the Togo was very nice. And so this is on my webpage, which is shiriachuart.com. And if you use the promotional code Togo, you will get 20% off. And actually, yes.
That message has definitely gone across, and I would encourage you to get to Shuri and have a piece of a beautiful work. So, contacts before you go away, Shuri.
So I can be reached on my, well, all the social medias is Shiri Achu Art. If you want to reach me on Facebook, it's the capitalized Shiri Achu Art. And then Instagram, same thing. And my webpage is shiriachuart.com. And there you can have all my email addresses, info@shiriachuart. So it's, I guess if you have those two informations, if you just remember shiriachuart.com, you'll be able to get, through my webpage, you can access me.
On our part, I want to thank you so much for joining us on radio today. Congrats on the great job you are doing. I know you still have a lot of work in the pipeline, and we will continue to trail you. And whenever the need arises, you'll be back on this platform to tell us more. Thank you so much, Shuri.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Do have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much. This is Apex One Radio. We're broadcasting from the United States of America. You just listened there to internationally acclaimed fine artist and painter Shuri Achu, who is back after a professional trip to Cameroon. And so the show continues on Apex One Radio. Let's have some music. Then our next guest will be live on radio. So now let's listen to this piece of music. I'll be right back with you. Leone, that beautiful piece of music that titled in the music release a couple of weeks ago. Music which has brought the time to 15 minutes to 11 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. Same time in Cincinnati, next door. Cincinnati, from where our next guest will be speaking. Tehila Belta is her name. Her latest piece of music, Your Love, is in circulation and has been doing good. I guess we're going to pause with Leonette and get to our next guest, who will definitely come back to that piece of music. And before Belta Tehila joins us on radio to talk about her latest piece of music, let's listen to this. Our one is titled Your Love. You show me true love. Beautiful piece of gospel music. Belta Tehila is the author of that piece of music. You show me your mercy. What a beautiful piece of music. Latest one, of course, by Tehila Belta. She is a gospel music artist par excellence. She'll be joining us live from Cincinnati to talk about this latest track that is in circulation. Success, now you promotion, now you what a way of showing gratitude to our creator. Belka to highlight that beautiful piece of music which has brought the time to 13 minutes to 11 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. And at exactly that time in Cincinnati, she now joins us. Belka, how are you today? Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ennis. Thank you so much.
How is Cincy this Saturday morning?
Oh, Cincinnati is good. It's great.
Beautiful. Right. So, by the way, Happy New Year, and how how has the year been so far? We are just 2 weeks gone into 2022. How is the year running?
The year is running great. We thank
Mhm.
God for a great start, despite, all maybe some bad news around. But, God is always the infinite and the final, He has the final say. So at the end of the day, we all look up to Him and we count it a blessing to see a new day.
At the end of the day, we're all looking up to him. He's the infinite and he's always there. So, Becca, thank you so much for joining us to talk about Your Love, which is just 13 days old. You released this song exactly 13 days ago. How is the public reacting to it so far?
Yeah, this song for your love, I've really longed for it like throughout the pandemic as God was bringing me some things right like on my heart putting some things on my heart and I was seeing his greatness and despite all what we went through, the love of God never left us. And
Mhm,
so, bringing this song in the new year was kind of a conclusion to say that no matter how the years have been, the past 2 years have been, God
mhm,
has still shown us true love, and people are actually connecting to this.
mhm.
People are
Right.
actually connecting to this, and it's really the message is going, and I
Mhm,
can feel the feedback as
mhm.
they all come back to me, and you know, with testimonies and a lot of things that they have gone through.
Right. Is it a track you had written long ago and you just delayed releasing it probably because of the current times? I'm talking about COVID. So had you written
Yes,
this song long ago?
yes.
Okay.
It actually had to hold because remember, I had to release an album and this
Hmm.
was going to be one of them. But I
Okay.
had to put it on hold, had to put going to the studio on hold and
Hmm.
everything. So, yes.
Hmm. I'm talking about the studio. In which one was Your Love recorded?
It was recorded at Dreams Recording Studio in Maryland
Hmm.
by Dr. Walter Blackson.
Okay. And how long did that process take?
Well, when you have to travel to do something, then it's going to
Hmm.
take a whole weekend.
Mm.
So, but before that, behind the scenes, it's been taking, some editing and, you do it behind the scenes,
Hmm.
edit, and then do the final copy when you go into the studio.
Hmm. I'm not very good at identifying beats, but this sounds like what my friends call Afro beats. Am I correct, or is it something different?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so why did you choose Afro beats?
Actually, if you know me, if you know Tehila from the beginning from
Hmm.
my maiden album, you can tell that I love to represent my culture. I always
Right.
like anything that is gonna portray, or if you look at me, or if you hear me sing, you will tell you will just tell that this girl loves culture.
Hmm. Wow.
So all the time when God places a song on my heart, the feeling of it is always taking me back to my roots
Hmm.
and doing the afro beats. I've not done afro beats or I've not really done a lot of afro beats, but trying to do afro beats in this 2022, I felt like I wanted to really connect
Hmm.
with my African community and extend it out in the world.
She definitely wants to connect with her African community and send the message out there to the global space. Belta Tehila is her name. She's live on Apex. Wanted you to talk about Your Love, a beautiful piece of music which I would enjoy you to listen to a little bit before we come back to the artist. You show me true love, you show me your power, you show me your mercy. True Love by Beltate Healer. She's live on Apex One Radio. The show is African Fiesta. The edition is the 189th. The day is Saturday, the date is the 15th. The month is January. The time is 7 minutes to 11. And of course, the station is Apex One Radio. Berta joins us once again. Welcome back, Berta.
Thank you.
Tell us about the message in this song which you are trying to pass out there to the public.
Yeah, actually, my song is so much filled with testimonies of, what God has done, and with our daily community, with the people around us, the daily life. It actually connects a lot. When I look around and I hear my friends, I hear other families, I go on Facebook and I hear what people are, going through and how they came out from it. And, a lot of those things, it takes me back to the cross of Calvary. It takes me back to the reason why God actually sacrificed his life for us. So that true love, first of all, comes from the fact that he left his throne above.
Right.
Despite all that we did, the wickedness of mankind. It said, for God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. It did not end there. And when he went to the cross, his blood was shed for us. His side was pierced for us. Everything that happened on the cross of Calvary was to bring man back to himself, no matter how the situation of man's heart was. He was ready to reconcile us back to him, which means that when we come to him, he's gonna take care of us, he's gonna provide for us, he's gonna be our protector. And even without that, a lot of people are still rebelling. They still don't believe in God. But guess what? God has said that I will come to you. He shows us his mercy, and he keeps running after us. So his demonstration on the cross of Calvary is what is causing us to see these testimonies going on. And therefore, whatever situations you are in, be you a woman who is married and you've been looking for that child for long, remember that God is the owner of life, and he is going to give you that baby at his own time. So God is the giver of all good gifts. He gives us promotion, he gives us good gifts, and so we just know that his love is following us even when we are not faithful to him.
His love is unconditional. His love is endless. He's the giver of life. Of course, he owns it. And all of that embedded in this beautiful piece of song titled For Your Love. Belta Tehila is her name. She's live on Apex One Radio. And so, Belta, we see a lyrics video. Do you plan to shoot a real video for this track? And if so, when should we be expecting it?
Right now, it's on my mind. It's actually on my mind. It's been on my mind, and I've been really thinking that. At first, I thought I should do a video and just release a video, an official video, but you know how it is. It comes with some financial constraints and all of that. So it actually pulled me back a little bit, and I thought for now I should do the lyric video first and put it out there. And while I'm thinking and trying to put my finances together, I'm also praying for for divine connections. Maybe somebody would want me to do the video and be like, hey, connect with this videographer and just do it, and they pay for it. Why not?
Okay. It's always possible. Why not?
It's possible. I trust God for everything. But hey, on a serious note, I would love to do a video for this. I don't know when, and I don't want to promise the public, but that's something that's on my heart. If it doesn't happen this year, it may happen next year. But let's just keep our minds open.
Our minds are definitely open, and we are awaiting the video of this track whenever it comes up. Beth, I want to thank you so much for joining us on radio today to talk about For Your Love. For Your Love. That's your latest track that has been in circulation. And we would like to encourage people to go to YouTube, watch it, share it, and promote it as much as they can. Apart from YouTube, do you plan to get it rolling on some other platform?
Yes, I'm actually in the process of getting it on iTunes, so
Okay.
people can also go there and download it. And usually it's just 99 cents. So
Mhm.
I think people can also support through that way.
Sure.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right, Becca, I want to thank you once again. Congrats on the great job you are doing. We'll definitely come back to you on this platform not too long from now. But before you go, could you just drop your contacts?
Oh yeah. If you want to get to me, my phone number is 513-371-3327. And you can get me on Facebook. My name on Facebook is Belta Fanjang. And
Mhm.
my name on YouTube is Tehila Belther. And if you want to go on Instagram, you'll find me Tehila Belther on Instagram. I'm not really a Instagram person. You can
Mhm.
easily get me on Facebook, but Instagram is once in a while. So, but yeah. So
Okay.
you can get to me at any time.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program today, Berta. We'll leave you to go obtain some rest and have a fantastic rest of the weekend.
Thank you so much, and thank you always for thinking of me. And
Thank
God
you,
bless you
and
too.
God bless you too. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay, that was Belta Tehila, gospel music artist, who was here to talk about her latest single titled For Your Love. Okay, so it's exactly 1 minute to 11 o'clock here in the studio of Apex 102 in Texas. It's exactly 9:59. Texas, from where our next guest will be joining us. He is a journalist like myself. He's a sports media executive. He's from Sierra Leone, which um, has been in a very euphoric atmosphere since the 0-0 tie with defending champions Algeria on day one of the ongoing African Cup of Nations. Before we get to talk about that, let's listen to this beautiful piece of music by BCBK. It's titled I Love Africa. Let's go. That piece of music is titled Africa. I Love Africa. It's all about Africa on African Fiesta. We talk African sports, African cuisine, African culture, African tourism, African music, African dance, and what have you. I'm talking about African sports. The football jamboree is ongoing on the continent. The 2021 edition of the African Cup of Nations is currently going on in Cameroon. One of the countries participating is Sierra Leone. For some reason, Sierra Leone is the favorite of so many Africans who are watching this competition. Everyone just seems to admire Sierra Leone, especially that country's goalkeeper, Mohamed Kamara, who became man of the match at their first encounter. Wonderful goalkeeper, very, very skillful. We'll be talking about Sierra Leone in this edition of African Fiesta. But before we get there, I love Africa. Missy BK. I come from Africa. Scores and scores of Africans in their thousands have converged on Cameroon to watch the 2021 edition of the African Cup of Nations. I'm talking about 2021. Yes, it's the 2021 edition of the competition taking place in 2022. Back in Sierra Leone is euphoria, especially given that the Leone Stars are putting up a wonderful performance. In their first game, it was a 0-0 tie with defending champions Algeria. That means a lot. Algeria is the current champions, the defending champions, and Algeria is a football powerhouse. Yet, the Leone Stars, who have been away from this competition for so many years, were able to have to clip the wings of the Algerians to a 0-0 tie. That was big. Well, to talk about it is Sierra Leonean sports journalist Leslie Koroma, who is the founder and CEO of Africa Sports Ventures Group. He now joins us from Texas. Leslie, can you hear me? Apparently, he cannot hear me. Well, hopefully, he will be able to do so when we must have fixed one or two things. Hopefully, Leslie will be joining us. Meantime, this is African Fiesta on Apex One Radio. You're listening to the 189th edition of the show. It's reaching you live from the station we are situated in the United States of America, precisely in Columbus, Ohio. Let's find out if Leslie is now joining us once again. Leslie, can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me? I can hear you 5 on 5. I don't know why you can't hear me. Can you hear me? All right, you will have to fix that again. Then we'll be able to get to our guest, who is a sports journalist, a media executive. He hails from Sierra Leone. He's covering the African Cup of Nations from his base in Texas. He runs the Africa Sports Ventures Group. And we'll be talking about the Leone Stars, who are part of the competition. Just to say that in their first game against Algeria, they pulled a 0-0 tie, which the continent has acknowledged was a wonderful performance. This is a country that has been away from this competition for more than 25 years. Kuroma will confirm that when he joins us. Well, let us make another try and find out if he can now reach us by sound. Leslie, can you now hear me?
I cannot hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Maybe I need to log off and.
Yes, you probably have to.
Do I need to log off and log back on?
Yes, do that. Let's see how it goes. Right. So we are doing everything possible to get to Leslie Koroma. He's a sports journalist from Sierra Leone. He runs the Africa Sports Ventures Group, which publishes a sports magazine as well. Koroma has been following sports for a while, and today he'll be talking about Sierra Leone's participation at the ongoing African Cup of Nations that is taking place in Cameroon. Sierra Leone is placed in the same group with Ivory Coast and Equatorial Guinea. Tomorrow, the Leone Stars will be back on the pitch to lock horns with the almighty Ivory Coast. That is the Elephants of Ivory Coast. We are hoping that it's going to be a fantastic encounter. And if the Leone Stars happen to overpower the Elephants of Ivory Coast, it will be a great deal in Freetown and most of the cities in that great West African country. So tomorrow it will be a West Africa versus West Africa debacle that will take place, And we have Sierra Leonean sports journalist Leslie Koroma, who will be joining us to talk about that encounter of tomorrow, and of course the maiden one which took place a couple of days ago with a 0-0 score that was against Algeria. Right, so let's do some music from this end while hoping that Leslie will join us to throw more light on Sierra Leone's performance at the ongoing African Cup of Nations. All right, so let's listen to the Tina in this beautiful piece of music titled J. I'll be back with you. Meantime, if you are just joining us, this is African Fiesta on Apex One Radio. Still to come, we speak with gospel music artist Junior Praise. Junior Praise will be telling us about his latest track, which sees the light of day tomorrow, January the 16th, 2022. It's titled Berry War. Right. But before he comes on the airwaves, Leslie Koroma is struggling to get back to us, and hopefully he will succeed in doing that. This is Apex One Radio. This is African Fiesta. Meantime, you're listening to that beautiful piece of music there titled J by Vernieu Tina, one of the leading Afrobeats artists in Cameroon. Tina is a very talented singer. Beautiful pieces she's put out there. Over the years, Fiesta, the 189th edition of the show, we are reaching you live from the United States of America, precisely from the state of Ohio. We are in the city of Columbus. And my name is Ernest Kanjo. Maxwell Adid is producing this show from Valsuch in Germany. Right. So Leslie Koroma will be joining us shortly. Back to sports and football, and to say that Sierra Leone has been participating at the African Cup of Nations this year and doing a great job, as a matter of fact. Well, looks like we will go straight to Boya because Junior Praise is now joining us, a gospel music artist whose latest piece comes up tomorrow. It's titled Burial. Let's join Junior Praise and speak with him before Koroma comes back. All right, he now joins us from Boya. Junior Praise, welcome to the show. Unmute yourself and the conversation will go on. How are you doing today? You have to unmute yourself so we can talk. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Junior Praise now joining us from Boya. Welcome to the program. We cannot get him. We are able to get him. Can you hear me? Okay, I cannot hear him. Hopefully he'll be back. We don't know what the problem is with with our sound. Okay. Hopefully, we will be able to overcome that technical hitch. Meantime, Leslie Koroma is also struggling to reach us. Whoever comes first, we will have them here live on the airwaves of Apex One Radio on this 189th edition of African Fiesta. Let's find out if we can now reach him by sound. Junior Praise, can you hear me now? Well, we still cannot hear him. I don't know what the problem is. Hopefully, he'll be able to reach us. For now, let's listen to music and I'll be right back with you. Right, so we'll give it another try and see if we can reach out to the gospel music artists by sound. Junior Praise, welcome to the show. All right, so he'll probably have to unmute himself. Then let's see if we can reach him. Junior Praise, are you there? Welcome to the show. All right, so we are sorry about that. Let's try again. Junior Praise, welcome to the show. Unmute yourself. Let's see. All right, so we're sorry about that technical hitch. We will probably come back to Junior Praise. Let's go to Texas and find out if our other guest, Leslie Koroma, is able to reach us. He now joins us from there. Leslie Koroma, welcome to the program.
Hi, Ernest, good morning, and thank you for having me again one more time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, he's not on camera, but let's see if he can get on camera. Then we'll be able to speak with him. We are good with sound. We'll try camera and see how it goes. Let's go back to Boya. Junior, welcome to the program. You have to unmute yourself. Let's see. Can you hear me? All right, so we are still unable to hear him. Okay, so Texas will definitely be okay this time. Leslie, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we are good to go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. We thank God. So, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
I'm okay, and you?
I'm good. We're sorry about that technical hitch, but thank God we are good to go now.
Yes. These things happen, so yeah, no worries.
Beautiful. Right. So, like I mentioned earlier on, you are the founder and chief executive officer of Africa Sports Ventures Group. You've been on the program previously, but for the sake of those who are coming across you for the first time, could you just quickly reiterate, tell us what the Africa Sports Ventures Group is all about?
Yeah, Africa Sports Ventures Group is a sports-focused, sports and entertainment-focused company. Our main objective is to help to uplift the sports industry across the continent, and by tying in the necessary loose ends with different stakeholders in the sports industry to try and grow it. So the last time as I was saying on your program, the sports industry globally, which before and during the early part of the pandemic was worth about $750 billion. It's now about 1.3 to 4 trillion dollars in value globally. But in Africa, we are yet to we're still struggling in terms of trying to bring value to the sports industry. We know how big sports is in Africa. We know how big football and all of that stuff is, but unfortunately, we have not put the necessary structures in place to actually harness that value and translate it to real value for people, meaning employment, meaning different types of opportunities, which is available in other parts of the world. So our job, our objective as a company is to try to work with as many stakeholders as possible across the continent. And on different aspects, we're not just focused on one thing. We're focused on various aspects, including the entertainment field as well, where we know it ties in well with the sports industry. We know how well Hollywood and the sports industry in America ties in, very well. So we want to make sure that that's the case also for our continent, for Africa. So that's our major focus and objective.
Quickly, I would like to know, when you talk about sports, is it all sports disciplines or just soccer? Since Africa is so embedded in this particular sport.
Well, it's all sports discipline, because we see the value. Of course, our key focus in Africa is the soccer discipline, right? That's where most of our direction, our attention is, because that's what most of the time it's the cheapest sport to practice. Young kids can just pick up a ball and get out there, and so they grow with it, So it becomes part of their psyche, their culture for them, and so they grow up and everybody wants to be a soccer player. But we want to also try to impress upon everyone across the continent that there's value in other sports like basketball, which we know now. The NBA introduces the first league outside of the USA in the whole world. I think they didn't go to Europe, they didn't go to China, they didn't go to none of these other countries. They went to the African continent to establish the first league outside of the NBA itself here in the USA, and it's called the Basketball Africa League. So we're focused on every discipline out there: track and field, tennis, you name it. All of these are disciplines that are worth exploring. Everyone cannot play soccer. Everyone is not going to be able to play soccer. It's got a huge fan base, but at the same time, we have to remember this is about opening up opportunities for the young, for younger people. So we want our focus is on every discipline: boxing, MMA, you name it, all of that involved.
Right. So yours is a typically Pan-African outfit that covers the entire continent, but you hail from one of those countries on the continent, Sierra Leone, and I assume that when Sierra Leone participated in its last African Cup of Nations so many years ago, you had not created Africa Sports Ventures Group. Now it is existing and coinciding with your country's participation at the African Cup of Nations. Do you see this as a great opportunity for your organization to blow up?
Oh, absolutely! It's a huge opportunity. Like you said, the last time. That was 1996, the last time Sierra Leone was at the Africa Cup of Nations, and again that was during the civil war that we had in Sierra Leone during the civil conflict, and so of course I was a young man then, and I was also not focused on on the business side. I was still an athlete back then, so. I didn't get a chance. I mean, it wasn't a time yet for that. So now I'm here. It's been a growth phase to get to this stage, from being an athlete and then eventually to a sports media practitioner, and then now as a business person, as a businessman in the sports space. So it's a great opportunity for for me, for not just for Sierra Leone, but across Africa as a whole, for the rest of the continent, different countries. We're dealing, we're developing business relationships with different stakeholders in different sport disciplines and in different programs out there. So it's a huge opportunity for my company. Yes, obviously. Now, as the Confederation of African Football and the Africa Cup of Nations continues to grow into the future, because again, we've had a situation with the Confederation of African Football and the Africa Cup of Nations where we're kind of rebranding and reawakening the whole thing as it is. So it's not an opportunity for us. Most of what we've created in this last several years to try to get involved in most of what's going on with the Africa Cup of Nations, and then of course the Confederation of African Football, basketball, you name it, all these other disciplines. But yeah, we see this as a huge opportunity.
Beautiful. So let us narrow this down to Sierra Leone further. So Sierra Leone is taking part at the African Cup of Nations this year. After doing so the last time in 1996, this is really huge.
Yes.
So far, they've had their first encounter with defending champions Algeria.
Yes.
That was a 0-0 tie at the end of 90 minutes. What a lot of people who have not been following Sierra Leone don't understand is why that excitement with a draw game against Algeria. Could you just explain this?
Well, put it this way. When you're down in the dumps and you have a chance to rise, and then you go up against the best in the world, or in your area, on your continent, and you're able to stand against them, go toe to toe with them. That's a huge boost of confidence, first of all, and that's in itself is a great story to say. We've been through hell and back, but here we are, going toe to toe with the best on the continent. So that excitement by itself alone, because Algeria is the defending champion. They won the Africa Cup of Nations, the last edition, which was held in Egypt. They won that cup, and so they're the African champions. And then even recently, they've gone for over 35, 36 games without a defeat. They haven't lost a game in the last several years. The last time they lost a match was against Italy. And they went recently to the Arab Cup, which was held in Qatar, and they won that as well. This was before coming to the Africa Cup of Nations. So you can imagine, Sierra Leone, which was also ranked 107th on the FIFA rankings, came to the Africa Cup of Nations as an underdog to Algeria. So the excitement is based off of the fact that we were able to go toe to toe with Algeria, which is considered the current champion for the continent, where they brag of players like Mahrez, who plays in the English Premier League. So this is huge. It's huge for us.
Right. So prior to this match, could you just describe the mindset of a typical Sierra Leonean football fan? Were you also expecting this kind of performance?
Well, look, sports, and there's a saying out there are no more minnows in football, right? And meaning that you don't look at any team on a given day on the rate tip, right? It can be the smallest team. Looked like the Gambia the other day came out with a victory, right, against Mauritania. Huge, a small country, and it's the same thing across the board. We have the talent level, right? We have very talented young men who can play the game. The only unfortunate thing that we've had over the years, well, there's several issues there. We had a war, and then from the war we had the Ebola epidemic, and then we had the coronavirus, which has affected everybody around the world. But we've been through, like I say, hell and back with so much that have gone through society, and so we haven't had a steady slew of development of football over the years. During the war, the league collapsed. It wasn't till after the war that it was kind of resurrected. And after that, there was a series of issues having to do with football politics in football, which kind of derailed the National League for a number of years. And then eventually we had a FIFA ban on top of that, for the same issue of political interference. And so when you look at all of those incidents coming up to right now to this qualifying for the Africa Cup of Nations, which was a huge surprise and a huge boost in itself, you can imagine the amount of first of all there was doubt. So a lot of people are still not. Some of us are kind of understand the background and understand the talent level that's there. So we know the boys are capable, but the issue is about piecing that capability together and go out there and perform, which for me wasn't too much of a doubt because I feel like these guys can perform. You just needed a solid system, a stable administration, a good coach, a great coach. In this case, we have a very solid coach in the name of John Fiesta, and a young man himself who played for the national team, home-based, home-brewed. So we have situations like that where there was not much confidence by a number of people. A lot of people were like, oh, fingers crossed. Some people were not necessarily convinced that Sierra Leone was going to. So it came as a surprise to a lot of people, obviously. Even the pundits out there, because obviously we've had situations where even the odds were deeply stacked against the Leone Stars. So to hold Algeria to a draw, a goalless draw at that, not conceding a goal, not even an accidental goal, was huge. We scored, but even though our goal wasn't allowed, it was said it was offside, but we scored. We actually netted the ball in the goal against them, so it was huge. For me, before the game, I said Algeria was actually in the law of averages. I believe Algeria was due for defeat. I said it might come, against our team. So there we are, So we're excited.
Let us stay on the tactical point of view. I'm not a coach, I'm neither a player, but I want us to talk about what you think would have been the strength of the Sierra Leonean side in that game. Was it an offensive encounter? Were they more defensive? Did it happen, at the midfield? Was it the skillful nature of the goalkeeper? So, what actually accounted for this strength?
Okay, so we have. I think it's a collection of everyone on the team. I think we have a very very balanced team. We have a very experienced forward set of forwards, Kay Kamara, Mohamed Bouya Touré, those guys, and then of course the midfield, which is very solid, right? And then we have a defense which is anchored by the likes of Steven Cocker, who used to be an English Premier League player, but currently plays in the in Turkey. And then we have Kevin Wright, Usman Kake. Those guys, those are solid. Umaru Bangura, these guys are solid, and I believe then of course we had a great surprise. This guy, even though he's been very solid over time. But it takes for one to perform at the big stage for people to get finally convinced, which was a goalkeeper in this case. And he even got the man of the match award after the match itself. Mohamed Kamara, very unassuming, very young kid who has had. Basically, he's had his breakthrough. This is his breakthrough. This kid is going to go places. He has the potential. He has very strong instincts. Very strong reflexes, if one can say that. And well, obviously that's what it is, because he was able to withstand the barrage of attacks by the Algerians alongside with the defense. So it was an all-in-one effort. Everybody on the team played a collective game in terms of, first of all, stopping the Algerians. Secondly, in mounting attacks against them. So it wasn't an easy game. Definitely, you're not going to play against the top dog and expect to get an easy right.
I think it's also important to know what the state of preparedness before this match was. Just how prepared was Sierra Leone to play this match against the defending champions?
They were very well prepared. I mean, tactically and mentally, and in so many respects, because we had a game against Nigeria, which was a lead up to the final game against Benin. We had a game against Nigeria where Nigeria scored 4 goals against us, and then we came back in the second half and we equalized. It was a 4-4 draw. So you can imagine the boost of confidence from that match alone by itself. And then we went on to play Benin, which eventually there was some shenanigans having to do with COVID testing and all of that. The game had to be played on a neutral ground, and we ended up winning that game. So that's what booked our ticket to Cameroon. And so the thing is that from those 2 matches, there was a heavy boost of confidence. And plus, to bring in so many different players from different backgrounds with a nice balanced a mix of home-based talent, who are very, very solid. So we had a situation which was very, very, very positive in so many words. So when they went to camp, they went with this in their minds, right? A high boost of confidence, right? And of course, with the talent available, it just took proper management by the current SLAFA executive for them to be able to settle everybody down and say, you know what, we have a task at hand. And so of course, on top of that, you had government support, where the government is supporting lots of funds to help with the process. So that helps a lot, because when you have the government backing you, in this case, it helps a lot, because obviously it's not we don't talk politics in sports. We talk basic basic strategy and that type of stuff. But the support of the government has been very instrumental in helping this team prepare to go to Cameroon.
Right. As a matter of fact, I'm not necessarily politicizing it. I just want to find out how the government reacted to this performance, and what has been the talk, in Freetown, as far as this is concerned. Is the government taking advantage of this to do its politics? We are not politicizing the game, as a matter of fact, but in everything there is politics in a way. How is the government reacting to this?
Well, obviously that's going to be the case. I mean, you're going to expect the government to take credit for the current output. Obviously they poured in some funds to help the team to prepare and go to Cameroon. So obviously you expect that to be the case. So no, there's no harm in that game, as far as that is concerned. What I know though is that there's more to it than that in sports. Because sports, for you to have long-term success, because this is not just, we don't want a fly-by-night type stuff where this happens and then Sierra Leone goes back and sits for another 20 years before it shows up again at the Nations Cup. We want something that's sustainable going forward. So investment has to come in terms of developing a very strong grassroots going forward. But yeah, definitely credit has been taken. There's been excitement on every level, from the opposition parties to the current government and all of that. Local governments, the mayor's office. I saw the mayor and the staff, they were dancing and celebrating in a video that was circulating on the internet. So you have those situations. So obviously it's all hands on deck, and everybody is happy that the country is finally showcasing what it's capable of, what it's really truly worth, on the international stage. So the government, at this stage, politicizing the win, I wouldn't say that. It's just a natural excitement across the board for everyone, not just the current government, but everyone, including the opposition parties. The congratulatory messages came from the former president, the current government, this president, President Julius Madabio, went on and made a statement about the win, and the opposition party members. Everybody was, it was a national issue. So it was, yes.
Right, so the Leon Stars will enter day 2 of the competition tomorrow. This time, not against the defending champions, but with another country that has also stood the test of times as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. Ivory Coast has had a good number of victories at the tournament, trophies at the tournament as well. They've hosted a couple of times. They will definitely be hosting the 2024 edition of the competition. So this is going to be another very big game against the Elephants of Ivory Coast. Tell me, are hearts beating really fast in Sierra Leone?
Yes, hearts are beating very fast because the Elephants of Ivory Coast are the 2015 champions of the AFCON, and obviously they're not slouches. That's a very good team.
Sure.
Even though we don't have those legendary names on the lineup anymore, like Didier Drogba and Yaya Toure and Kolo Toure, don't have those names on the lineup anymore. But they have a very solid foundation as a nation when it comes to football. So in fact, they won their opener. They lead the group right now, and so it's not going to be an easy ride either. It's going to be a tough out for Sierra Leone. But we expect the same mindset going into that match. If we can withstand the current champions, who will believe are better in terms of their performance, I think we can withstand Ivory Coast. So we'll go into that match with the same mindset against the Elephants of the Ivory Coast. Hey, to win the match, not just for a draw. We're not looking for a draw. Like I said, even in the game with Algeria, we scored a goal, which was disallowed. So the same thing here. We're looking for a win, not just to show up and fight for a draw and play defense. No, we're going out there to actually win. So that's the mindset the players are. In fact, I was able to talk to ace defender Stephen Cocker, who's British born but Australian descent. Currently plays in Turkey, but used to play in the English Premier League for Liverpool. The point is that these guys have a mindset and the experience. People like himself, Stephen Cocker, Kay Kamara, those guys who are very experienced, that are in the lineup, that are going to be with the team to help them fight through this. Obviously, we have great minds and great support from former legends who are out there to help psych them up, psychologically, like Mohamed Kalon, who's a former international. They're all out there to help get the team psyched up to go up against Ivory Coast. So Ivory Coast has a fight on its hands. As far as I'm concerned, they have a fight on their hands.
Right. So as we speak, the morale is very high within the Sierra Leonean camp.
Very, very high. It's very, very positive, very high, upbeat, and we're hoping to triumph in the next game. And we're actually hoping to come out and end up in the top 16. The quarterfinal stage.
I'm talking about the projected score, the forecast. What do you think will be the result at the end of the day?
I'm going 2-1 against Ivory Coast.
2-1 against Ivory Coast. Okay, so I will take you for your word, and we'll definitely be back here next week too.
Yes.
to talk about that. So, but before we go away, Leslie, what are the prospects of Sierra Leone in this tournament and even beyond after AFCON with this performance? What are you envisaging for Sierra Leonean football at the national level?
Well, it's like I said, for me, it's about building a sustainable structure. I'm deep into the sports system, and I understand the dynamics of what it takes to build something sustainable. And so I expect for us to go to the drawing board and not go off of emotions and look at what's out there now. What we have out there now is we're able to put a solid team together, not based on a foundation that we built over the years. No, it's not based on that, because, like I said before now, there was a time when there was no football being played in the country. So we have a whole slew of young men and girls in the country who were not able to play, and so we don't have that conveyor belt of talent that we're supposed to develop. But I hope that with this, that we see the value now that we can go out into this match after this match and after this this tournament, and see the value in trying to work in building a strong foundation for the future, meaning building a strong grassroots program, across the country. And then from there, we can look at how in the next 5 years, from that structure, in the next 5 years, how we can build a strong team going forward. The team that we have right now is strong enough to hold down the fort till we get a new generational crop of young players that will come through in the next 5 years. But we need to go back to the drawing board and actually build a strong foundation of football across Sierra Leone. And that will be, like I said, will be what will come in as replacement for this current crop of players who are mostly in their 20s. We have some in their 30s, but I think this team can hold down the fort. We have a lot of players across, internationally that can come together. But again, you don't build a foundation for international showcase by just having, picking players from here and there every now and again when you want to. You have to build a solid foundation for that to be the case. So you can look at that, that conveyor belt of talent that you have and pick out the best of the best from there to go out into the international scene.
That solid foundation will definitely be built, and this will bring a new, dimension to Sierra Leone's football, which is, of course, shining as we speak. The Leone Stars were up with a goalless draw with defending champions Algeria in one of the competition. Tomorrow, they will take on Ivory Coast, defending champions in the winners of the 2015 edition of the competition. The Elephants have always, done great as far as African football is concerned. But like Leslie mentioned, there is no Drogba, there is no Yaya Toure. So are the Leone Stars going to take advantage of this? Well, let's find out how it plays tomorrow. Well, Leslie, before we go away, one last question from a professional standpoint and as a journalist and media practitioner. How is the Sierra Leonean sports media covering this competition?
Well, we have was a young fella who was based in the UK, Ali Bitar, who's right there. He runs a website called Sierra Leone footballsierraleone.net. There's Mohamed Fajabari, who's a reporter for the BBC, also runs for footballsierraleone.com. You have Mukhtar Kuroma. We have Sam Morris Jr. Those are all journalists who are out there. Of course, you have regular, other journalists who are out there as well, covering the match as well. So, but the sports media ecosystem in itself needs to be developed very, very strongly. It's something I hope I can help with as well. So I'm doing my own beat from the international level to give face and credence to sports and sports practitioning in the country as well as alongside with the rest of the continent. So for me, they're doing a great job on Twitter, on Instagram, on there's a young lady, Magdalene Coney, who's doing a very great job herself. So let me not forget to mention that she's been very very good at what she does. She's very aggressive, aggressive in a positive way to get the stuff out there, get the stories out there. So we have quite a good set of coverage out there. And of course, we have AYV, which is a local national TV station that now has an international footprint on DSTV that's also covering the matches as well. So I think we're doing great in terms of media coverage, but we need again, with a lot of things, systems and structures, we need a more solid structure and foundation as far as sports media is concerned. So we're striving, we're trying our hardest, but we have work to do. And so We're excited at what's possible, possible going forward. But we're doing great in terms of sports media. So you can check Twitter, you can check Facebook, you can check Instagram and LinkedIn. There's coverage there from most of the names I just mentioned.
Definitely. So, Leslie, we'll definitely come back to you next week on the same show to talk about what would have transpired in the match Sierra Leone versus Ivory Coast. But before you leave us, could you just drop your link to your online publication so fans of football can get to read, about the ongoing African Cup of Nations?
Yeah, you can check out my website, which is africansportsmonthly.com. That's www.africansportsmonthly.com. That's a website I've been running for the last almost 2 decades now. Obviously, you can check out my company's website as well, africasvg.com, which is for Africa Sports Ventures Group. That's africasvg.com. Or you can check out their social media handles, African Sports Monthly, Africa Sports Ventures Group on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, as well as on LinkedIn. It's all available on there. And then personally also, just check me out as well, Leslie Koroma, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, as well as on Instagram as well. You can find me on all those platforms.
Leslie, want to thank you so much. We wish you all the best. We have an eye particularly on Sierra Leone because they have an exceptional story in this competition, and I guess they've just won the hearts of so many Africans who are following this competition, and we're looking forward to seeing how it unfolds. So, like I said, we'll be back with you next week for more on this. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having me.
You have a fantastic rest of the day out there.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
His name is Patorin Karankin, a Nigerian Afrobeat musician. In that beautiful piece of music titled Mom Baby, music which has by the time to 11 minutes to 12 here in the studio for Apex One Radio. Our next guest, of course, the last one will be Junior P. When we got to him earlier on the show, we couldn't roll because of sound issues. Hopefully this time it will be better. Well, without much ado, let's go to Boya and find out if Junior P is able to reach us this time. Junior P, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Enes Kanjo. Happy New Year. Can you get me?
I can get you now 5 on 5. We thank you. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
How are you today?
No, I'm great. I'm great. And how are you doing? So I hope everyone is doing okay.
Everyone is doing okay. We thank God. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year indeed. We just want to bless God for a year like this. It's not been easy.
I know.
Yeah.
So let's get into this real fast. So your latest music track comes out tomorrow. It's titled Burial. Yes. So before we talk about it, tell us about the previous ones. How have they been doing?
I'm telling you, I mean, I want to say that with the pandemic, God has been faithful too. God has been really faithful. Remember, the last release was New Dawn. New Dawn. Right. We did an interview on New Dawn. We have a good number of views on YouTube, and people are, I mean, Cameroonians and especially the Anglophone-speaking Cameroonians are really getting to understand exactly what I do. I mean, right from when I released Yahweh in 2018. After that, we went to Amazing Love. We did an interview on that, Amazing Love. After that, we went to Don't Cry, and we also did an interview on Don't Cry. Sure. And now we are coming to Burial. Burial simply means thank you. So that's it. It has been awesome all through.
And that is in Lamso, I suppose.
Yes, it's actually in Lamso.
Okay. So tell us about this Burial track. Who are you thanking?
Anyway, I'm thanking, actually, if you listen to the track, it says Burial Tatanyo. It means I'm thanking God for everything that He has been doing for us. We know we've been through a lot of trials and tribulations. First of all, in our country, worldwide with the pandemic in our country, with the issues that we've had in the Northwest and the Southwest. But we are still able to stay strong because God has really been faithful. God's love has been God has been so merciful, and His love has always abounded. So we are just thanking Him for our families, for what He has done for us. That is why I don't want to cease. I want to take the opportunity to keep on thanking God, because so many people did not see this new year.
Right.
And so the song is an amalgamation of everything. Thank you. It's not just in band. So I want to let the world know that it's not just in band. So even part of the BLM is also there. In English, there is French. It's just thank you, thank you. It's a wonderful traditional piece, really wonderful traditional piece that we need to sound.
So this track will see the light of day tomorrow officially. Is it ready for release tomorrow?
Perfectly ready. Everything is ready. We're just setting in on the time. When the time comes, we'll be releasing tomorrow at 6 p.m. So everyone is waiting, both in the country, abroad, and everywhere.
Right. So when and where was this track recorded?
Actually, the track was recorded with an old-time friend, Tas, at Tas Studios in Limbe. So I had to go down to Limbe to record. But the live instrumentalists, those who played the instruments, came from Douala. We had the bass guitar who came from Douala, the pianist came from Douala, the percussionist also came from Douala. So but the backup singers and the studio engineer were all based in Limbe. So that's it.
When you mention guitarists, when you mention the drums and other things, that tells me that you had live instruments being played in the studio and being recorded. Otherwise, I know music these days is done on the computer. Everybody's found on the computer and so on. So did you do your own differently?
Yes, this time around, most of my other songs it has mostly been just recording, trying to use the computer and all of that. But this time around, I really wanted something really different. And then trying to portray the culture of Cameroon is quite different. You need to really bring out this live percussion instruments, the bass guitar, and all these other instruments. So I really needed to use live instruments. So I financially, it was really demanding, but it was really worth it.
I know you're coming from a background where you sing with other people most of the times, from choral groups and so on. So did you have any other singers featuring in this track?
For this time around, no, but there's a lot in the background with this particular song. I plan to do a lot with it, involving some choir groups and the rest of it with time in time to come. So I just want to release this song so that people are going to savour, and then from there, a lot of other projects will stem up from this song.
From its title, this track is definitely going to attract a lot of attention, and people would also want to see some visuals, some displays. You talk about culture and all those things. That means they are looking forward to having a video of it. Are you planning to shoot a video of this track? If so, when?
Okay, of course. I just have to do that because that's the only way we can really portray the visual side of this culture, of our culture we are talking about. So immediately after the release, a month after, that should be in February, we already started. We already started with the project, the video shoot, but we want to just get this out so that people can appreciate, give their ideas, and maybe even attract sponsors, if not from left to right. So we don't know. By the grace of God, it's not by power, not by might, that we can achieve this, because we really want to do something really big, really big. I mean,
I'm talking about something really big. Are you planning to have an event eventually to launch this track?
Reading my mind. Actually, I've been doing just single releases, because I have a plan. We have a plan, and by the grace of God, we're going to put it into perspective. After all this release, by the end of the year, we plan to have a grand live concert. A grand live concert. We'll be inviting other artists, other gospel artists to come and perform, and not just in Boya. We're going to have it in Yaoundé, in Bamenda. So it's going to be like a national tour. So we just it's going to come into. It's just going to be awesome. I just know and I believe God that He's going to push this project ahead.
And for those of you just coming across this artist for the first time, he's one of those who made the famous University of Boya choir tick back in the years. Junior Praise is his name. He's back this time with a great single. It's titled Beru. In Lamso, it's translated as thank you. And so he's thanking God for all he's done to us, despite the difficult moments. He's live on Apex One Radio. The show is African Fiesta. The time is 4 minutes to 12. So, where else will this song be available? I know it's going to be on YouTube. Do you plan to get it on other platforms?
Yeah. The audio is going to be uploaded in other platforms, like it's going to be on iTunes.
Okay.
Yes, and others. Anyway, it's going to be on the flyer, which finally comes out. But we'll all have it somewhere.
All right, so we're looking forward to having that that flyer, and we're also looking forward to savoring that beautiful piece of music. I already say beautiful because I know when it comes to him, it is always beautifully packaged. He is a fine singer. He's done this for years, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Junior Press, want to thank you so much. We can't say much about the track until it comes out, so let's look forward to having it tomorrow. Then we'll definitely come back to talk about it when we must have savored it. So thank you so much. Before you go away, could you just drop your contacts?
Okay, you can get me on +237 681 393368. Again, 681 393368. And the second one, +237 671 620458. You can get me on those contacts.
Right. So the message has definitely gone across. Thank you so much. Congrats on the great job you're doing. We're looking forward to having this track tomorrow, and hopefully the world will accompany you in the promotion of this great work. Of course, it is a track that gives gratitude to God. It's our responsibility to do so because He is good at all times. Thank you so much. I do have a fantastic rest of the weekend now. The Junior Praise.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ediscanjo. Thank you.
All right. Bye for now. This is Apex One Radio. This is African Fiesta. Let's listen to this, and we will be right back to run off with this edition of the show. And that piece of music is titled Ni Ni. Music, which has brought the time to 1 minute to 12 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. Time for us to start voting thanks as we pack our bags and baggages out of the studio this morning. Thank you so much to you, my very good friend, Missy BK. You are in Canada. Thank you so much. Thank you, Esther. Yeah, you are in Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you for being part of this edition of African Fiesta. Lord's Favor Leke was part of this edition of African Fiesta as a listener and viewer. Thank you so much for your support. From Dayton, Ohio, we had Erica C. Thank you so much, Erica, for always supporting Apex One Radio. Beautiful piece of music there by Leone. Music which has put the time to 1 minute past 12 in the studio of Apex One Radio. I think it's time for us to say bye to you now. And that's how we put a full stop to this 189th edition of African Fiesta on Apex One Radio, which came to you live from the studio of the station situated in the northern part of the city of Columbus. Thank you so much, Belta Tehila. She was one of the guests in today's edition of the show. We also had Junior Praise, who was live from Boya to tell us about his latest piece of music, which will see the daylight of which will see the light of day tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us in this edition of the show. Siri Achu, you were live on the show to talk about your trip to Cameroon. Then we had Leslie Koroma, sports journalist, who was here to talk about Sierra Leone's performance at this year's edition of the African Cup of Nations. And here in the studio of Apex One Radio, you had Ernest Kanjo presenting their show. Maxwell Ade produced it from Valsut in Germany. Our public relations officer, Okon Ekweyom, was here to support us as well. We will be back next Saturday, same time, same station, same show. And until we meet, it is bye-bye, ciao, au revoir, merci, I'm gone. See you to God be the glory.